The desert was burning under a red sky, dust and smoke covered the land like a thick blanket. The alien camp stood in the middle of this wasteland, filled with strange machines and broken cages. Around the campfires, alien warriors laughed and shouted, their sharp teeth shining in the flames. They were brutal and cruel, enjoying the suffering of others. Into this place, they dragged a human prisoner. His clothes were torn, his face covered with dirt, but his eyes were still sharp. He walked with heavy chains on his wrists, his steps slow but steady. The aliens pushed him forward, mocking him as if he was nothing more than a toy. He did not answer, he only kept walking, holding his pride even in chains. Then the aliens brought something else. A chair with wheels appeared, pushed by 2 alien guards. In the chair sat a girl, her body weak and covered in scars. Her long dark hair fell over her shoulders, her face pale, her skin bruised. But what caught the humans' eye were her ears, long and pointed, like no human could have. She was not from Earth, she was something else, something alien. The aliens laughed louder, calling her broken, useless, and worthless. They said she was no fighter, no threat, only entertainment. They chained her to the chair, treating her like trash. Her head hung low, her lips dry, her arms tied tight with iron. But when the human looked closer, he saw something the others could not. Her eyes, half closed, glowed with a faint light. It was weak, but it was there, a spark that had not died. The alien leader stepped forward, a massive creature with red skin and black armor. He pointed at the human and spoke in a deep, cruel voice. See, human, this is what we give you, a broken alien girl, no use, no strength, only pain. She is for your amusement, nothing more. The aliens around him laughed again, throwing scraps of metal and stones at the girl. The human clenched his fists but stayed silent, his eyes fixed on her. The girl did not cry, she did not scream, she only sat still, her face calm but empty. Her silence was heavier than any chain. The human felt something strange inside him, a feeling he could not explain. She was suffering, but there was more to her, something hidden, and he knew it the moment their eyes met for a second. In that brief look, he saw not weakness, but a shadow of strength. A quiet voice in his heart told him that she was not broken, not really. The aliens shoved him closer to her, laughing at the thought of a human and a broken alien girl together. Sit, enjoy your gift, they shouted. She is nothing, and so are you. The human sat near the chair, still chained, but he kept watching her. The girl turned her head slowly, her lips parted as if she wanted to say something, but no sound came out, only a weak breath. He leaned closer, his voice low. I see you, you are not nothing. The aliens grew bored and walked away, leaving guards at the gate. The camp returned to noise, laughter, and cruel games. But in the middle of it all, the human and the alien girl sat in silence. The night grew darker, the fires burned high, shadows dancing across the sand. He knew he should look away, forget her, and save himself, but he could not. His heart would not let him. The girl's eyes opened wider for a moment, the glow inside them brighter now. She looked at him as if testing his soul, searching for truth. He did not move. He did not speak, but his eyes told her everything. She understood, even in her broken state, that this human was different. He did not see her as entertainment, he saw her as someone worth saving. And in that silent promise between them, danger was born, because the aliens would never allow hope. And yet, hope had just entered the camp, carried in the eyes of a chained human and a broken alien girl. Cliffhanger. The human felt his heart race as he thought one dangerous thought. If he tried to heal her, if he tried to protect her, he would risk his life. But for some reason he could not explain, he was ready to do it. The night was heavy in the alien camp. The fires burned low, and the sounds of cruel laughter echoed less and less. Most of the warriors were drunk on strange alien drinks, their voices loud but their steps clumsy. The human sat near the alien girl, his back against the cold sand, his chains biting into his skin. He could not sleep, because his eyes kept going back to her. The girl sat in her wheelchair, chained tightly, her head lowered, her long black hair hid most of her face, but he could see her breathing, slow and weak. Every mark on her skin told a story of pain, scars, old and new, bruises not yet healed. She looked fragile, like she could break with a single touch, and yet, there was something in the way she held herself, something silent but strong. He whispered softly, careful that no alien guard could hear. Can you understand me? Do you know my words? For a moment, there was no answer, only the crackle of fire and the distant growls of alien beasts outside the camp. But then, her lips moved slightly, a soft sound escaping, broken and weak. "Yes," she whispered. Almost too quiet to hear, the human leaned forward, his heart racing. "You speak, you can talk," he said in surprise. Her eyes lifted slowly, glowing faintly once more. Her voice was fragile but carried meaning. "Not safe. They listen, always," he nodded, understanding at once. They had to be careful. For the first time, she looked at him properly. Her alien eyes were deep, filled with pain, but also something more, something he recognized, the same thing he carried inside himself, the will to survive, the quiet fire that refused to die. That look alone built a bridge between them, stronger than chains, stronger than fear. He reached into his pocket where the guards had missed a small piece of dry bread. It was almost nothing, but to someone starving, it was life. He broke it into 2 parts and placed one carefully into her hand. Her fingers trembled as if she had forgotten what kindness felt like. She hesitated, then ate it slowly, her eyes never leaving his. No alien had ever given her food without cruelty, without demand, and now a human, a prisoner himself, risked punishment just to share with her. Her lips curved slightly, the smallest shadow of a smile. For him, that smile was brighter than fire. It was proof she was still alive inside. He felt warmth in his chest, a dangerous warmth in a place built only on coldness. Hours passed, the camp fell quieter, and the guards at the gate grew sleepy. The human whispered again, "Why are you here? Why do they call you broken?" She lowered her eyes, her voice shaking as she spoke slowly. "They cut my wings, they broke my voice, they wanted me silent." His eyes widened. Wings. She was more than just a strange girl, she had once been something powerful. She turned her head away, shame filling her face. "They keep me alive for laughter, for cruelty, not for war." Her hands trembled against the chains, the glow in her eyes dimming. The human clenched his fists, anger boiling inside him, but he stayed quiet, because he knew anger alone would get them both killed. Instead, he whispered, "You are not broken, you are still here, you are alive. That means something." She looked back at him, confusion in her glowing eyes. No one had ever said such words to her before. For the first time in many cycles, she felt like she was more than chains and pain, and that feeling frightened her, because hope was dangerous. The night wind blew across the camp, carrying the smell of smoke and iron. Somewhere in the distance, a beast howled, and the guards stirred awake. The girl lowered her head again, pretending to be silent and weak, but when the guards looked away, her fingers touched his for the briefest second. It was not an accident, it was a message. She trusted him, even a little. The human felt his breath catch in his chest. Something had begun between them, something the aliens would never allow. He looked at her, and she looked at him, and in that moment, a bond was made, not of words, not of promises, but of quiet understanding. 2 souls broken by war and cruelty, finding light in each other. And though he knew it was dangerous, though he knew it could cost his life, the human felt something stronger than fear growing inside him. It was not pity, it was not duty, it was something deeper, a choice forming in his heart, a choice he could not take back, to protect her, to heal her, no matter the cost. Cliffhanger. In the silence of the alien camp, with the fires burning low, the human realized one truth. He was no longer thinking only about his survival, he was thinking about hers, and that single thought could change everything. He leaned closer, whispering so only she could hear, "Stay calm, they want to see you suffer, do not give them joy." Her glow faded slightly, her breathing slowing. It was a small victory, but it mattered. She was learning that someone cared, even in this place of monsters. That night, the guards threw him near her again, laughing at their pair of weaklings. The campfires burned high, shadows dancing across the sand. The human's stomach growled with hunger, his lips dry, but he still held back a piece of bread hidden under his sleeve. Slowly, when no one watched, he pressed it into her hand. Her eyes widened, soft and shining in the firelight. She looked at him as if seeing something impossible, a human willing to share when he had nothing. For her, this was not just food, this was hope. She whispered, her voice cracked but clear, "Why risk for me?" He smiled faintly, even through his exhaustion, "Because you are not broken. You are worth saving." Her lips trembled, and she turned her face away quickly, but he saw the tears in her eyes before she hid them, tears not of weakness, but of something returning, something alive. Hours passed, and the guards finally grew drunk. The camp grew quiet except for the buzzing machines and the howls of beasts in the distance. The human leaned back, trying to rest his sore body, but suddenly, he felt a sharp pull on his chain. He looked down and froze. The alien girl's fingers had moved, pulling his wrist gently. She was warning him, her glowing eyes fixed on a shadow near the fence. A small creature crept close, its eyes bright and its teeth sharp, a wild beast of the desert, searching for prey inside the camp. The human tensed, knowing it could tear through a prisoner before the guards noticed. The girl whispered quickly, "Trap, do not move." Her voice was weak but urgent. The creature sniffed the ground, sniffed near his leg. The human stayed perfectly still, his breath tight in his chest. Finally, the beast turned away, distracted by the smell of blood from the fighting pit. The danger passed, and the human exhaled slowly. His heart pounded, but he turned to her in surprise. "You saved me," he whispered, his eyes wide. She lowered her gaze, whispering back, "You saved me first." For the first time, there was something in her tone that was not pain, it was trust, fragile but real. He realized then that their bond had already changed the balance. She was not just a broken prisoner anymore, she had begun to fight again, even if only in spirit, and that was the first crack in the chains the aliens had placed around her. But deep inside, the human knew this risk was only the beginning. The aliens would not stay blind forever. One mistake, one slip, and they would both suffer worse than death. Yet even knowing that, he could not stop himself. The choice was made, the path already started. Cliffhanger, as the fires burned low and the camp fell into silence, the human thought of escape for the first time, and when he looked at her glowing eyes, he realized something terrifying. If he tried to save her, he would be fighting against the entire camp, but for some reason, he knew he would do it, no matter the cost. The camp was quiet under a dead moon. The alien warriors slept in their tents, their weapons stacked beside them. The only sounds were the crackling of dying fires and the distant roar of desert winds. The human sat close to the alien girl, his chains cold against his skin. He could not sleep, because his mind was heavy with questions. Why did she glow? Why did her voice carry a weight he could not explain? And why did the aliens, cruel as they were, keep her alive when they destroyed everything else? There was something hidden, something he needed to understand, but he knew asking could mean danger. Still, he leaned closer and whispered, "Who are you, really?" For a long time, she did not answer. Her head remained low, her face shadowed by her long black hair. He thought maybe she had fallen asleep, or maybe she did not want to speak, but then her lips moved, and her voice came out low and trembling. "I was not always like this," she whispered. Her words made his breath stop. Her glowing eyes lifted, reflecting the faint firelight. "I was born with wings," she said softly, "wings of light, strong and bright. My people called me gifted." The human stared, his heart pounding. Wings. She was not only alien, she was something rare, something powerful. She looked away, her face full of pain. "They feared me, even my own kind. They said I was too strong, too dangerous." Her hands trembled against the chains. "So they broke me, they cut my wings, they silenced my voice. They gave me to these monsters for their games." Her words carried both sorrow and shame. The human clenched his fists, anger burning inside him. He hated the thought of her once soaring free, now trapped in chains, but he kept his voice calm, gentle. "They call you broken, but I do not see that." Her eyes widened slightly, confusion shining through her pain. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I am nothing now, my power is gone." The human leaned closer, his eyes steady. "No, you are still here, you are still alive. That means you are not nothing." She stared at him, as if trying to decide if he was mad or honest, but his words struck something deep inside her, a part long buried. Her hands shifted, the faint glow returning to her skin. "I still feel it sometimes," she whispered, "a spark inside me, but I cannot reach it. The chains burn when I try." The human's eyes narrowed, studying the marks on her wrists. The chains were not normal iron, they hummed faintly, glowing with strange alien patterns. It was clear now, they were not just bonds, they were ice and locks for her very power. "Then they fear you," he said softly. "That is why they keep you chained." Her eyes widened in surprise, as if no one had ever spoken that truth aloud. "Yes," she admitted, "they fear what I was, and what I could be again." She lowered her voice even more, her words trembling with urgency. "If I could break free of these chains, I could escape, I could fly again, maybe not with wings, but with strength. The human's heart pounded, the truth heavier than he expected. This girl was not only someone to protect, she was the key to something greater, but helping her would mean death if they were caught. Still, he felt no hesitation. His path was already chosen. He whispered, "Then we will find a way." Her lips parted in shock. "You would risk everything?" she asked. "For me?" His voice was steady, even though his body ached with fear. "Yes," he said, "because I see you, and you are not broken." Tears filled her glowing eyes, the chains rattling as her hands shook. For the first time, she looked like she believed him, even if only for a moment. The glow in her eyes grew stronger, lighting her pale face. It was weak, but it was there, hope, and in the silence of the night, with the fires dying low, their bond grew stronger than before. But danger was close, too close. A shadow moved near the edge of the camp. One of the guards turned his head, eyes narrowing toward them. The human leaned back quickly, pretending to sleep. The girl lowered her head, letting her hair hide her face again. The guard stared for a long moment before walking away. The human's heart raced, sweat on his skin. They had come too close to being discovered, but now the truth was clear. The girl was not weak, not useless. She was a secret the aliens wanted buried, a fire they wanted smothered, and he had just promised to set that fire free. Cliffhanger. As the night grew darker and the camp fell silent again, the human whispered one last thought in his mind. If they feared her power, then that power was their only chance, but freeing it would mean war against every alien in the camp, and he was ready to take that risk. The night after her secret was revealed, the human could not rest. He sat in the dust, chains cutting into his wrists, staring at the dying fire. The alien girl was silent beside him, her head bowed, but he could see her glowing eyes beneath her hair. Her truth still echoed in his mind. Wings cut, power chained, hope buried, but now, he knew she was the only way out. Morning came harsh and cruel. The aliens dragged prisoners into the yard, forcing them to clean weapons and repair machines. The human worked with bleeding hands, his body weak but his mind sharp. Every detail he saw became part of his thoughts, every guard, every gate, every blind corner. Slowly, a plan began to form inside him. That night, when the fires burned low again, he leaned closer to the girl. "We cannot stay here. They will kill us, or worse," he whispered. Her eyes flickered, cautious, afraid to hope. "They watch always," she said softly. "One mistake, and they burn us alive." He nodded, but his voice was steady. "Then we will not make a mistake." She turned her head, her eyes meeting his. "What do you see?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I see a way," he whispered, "but it must be done in silence, slow and careful." She listened as he explained. Every night, 2 guards by the main gate grew drunk and sleepy. Every dawn, the machines near the north fence roared so loud that no one heard anything else. And once every week, the leader locked away supplies in his private tent. That tent, the human believed, might hold the key to her chains. Her eyes widened with fear and hope together. "The leader's tent," she whispered. "If the binding stone is there, my chains could be broken." He nodded, his heart pounding. "Then that is where we go," he said firmly. "But how?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I cannot walk, I cannot fight." He leaned closer, his voice low. "Then I will be your legs, and you will be my strength." She stared at him, stunned. No one had ever spoken to her that way before. In her silence, she gave the smallest nod, the first step toward trust in action. The next day, the human began to test the camp. He dropped tools near the guards, watching how fast they reacted. He memorized the paths they walked, the moments their eyes grew heavy. Each risk was small, but each gave him answers. And all the while, he shared scraps of food with her, keeping her strong. The aliens mocked them both, calling them the pair of useless ones, but their laughter gave the human cover. No one suspected the weak would dare to plan, and in that blindness, the first cracks in the camp's control began to show. That night, when darkness fell heavy, he whispered to her again. "In 2 nights, when the moons are high, we move." Her breath caught, her glowing eyes wide with fear. "Are you certain?" she asked. "If we fail, they will tear us apart." He met her gaze, calm and unbroken. "Then we will not fail," he answered. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, slowly, her hand reached out, her chained fingers brushing against his. It was a small touch, but in it was a promise. They were no longer two broken prisoners, they were partners in survival. Later, as the camp roared with drunken laughter, the human crept closer to the leader's tent. He moved in silence, every muscle tight, every breath careful. Through a gap in the torn fabric, he saw inside weapons, strange glowing crystals, maps of stars he did not know, and on a black stone table, a small box covered in runes, humming faintly with power. His heart raced. That had to be it, the binding stone, the key to her chains. He pulled back before the guard could notice, returning to the shadows. When he sat near her again, his whisper was sharp, urgent. It is there, I saw it, the box glows with the same marks as your chains. Her eyes widened, tears glimmering as her voice shook. If you can take it, I can be free, she whispered. The human nodded, determination like fire in his chest. Then that is what we will do, he said, for you, for both of us. Cliffhanger. The plan was set, the path clear but deadly. Steal the stone, break her chains, escape into the wasteland. It sounded simple, but one wrong step would mean torture and death. As he looked at her glowing eyes, faint but burning with hope, the human swore silently that he would risk everything to see her free. The night of the escape arrived with heavy silence. The alien camp was alive with firelight and cruel laughter. The warriors drunk on their bitter drinks. The human's heart pounded in his chest, but his face showed nothing. He sat chained beside the alien girl, pretending to be broken, pretending to be weak, but inside every part of him was ready. The girl sat in her chair, her head lowered, her glowing eyes hidden behind her hair. She looked lifeless to the guards, but the human knew the truth. Her spark had returned, her hope was alive, and tonight, they would risk everything. Tonight, they would fight for freedom. When the guards at the gate grew heavy-eyed and the warriors stumbled, "Nye are the fires?" The human moved, slowly, carefully. He shifted the chain on his wrist, sliding the small piece of sharp metal he had stolen days ago. He had hidden it under the sand, waiting for this moment. With quick, silent movements, he began to scrape at the lock. His hands shook, sweat running down his face. But the click finally came, the shackles slipped free. He took a deep breath, his body trembling with relief. He glanced at her, whispering low, "It begins now." Her lips moved, her voice faint but firm, "I am ready." The fire in her glowing eyes gave him strength. Moving like a shadow, he slipped behind the sleeping guards. The camp roared with drunken laughter, covering the sound of his steps. Every movement was a knife edge of danger, every breath could give him away. Finally, he reached the leader's tent, the heart of the camp. He pushed aside the torn fabric, and there it was. The black stone table glowed faintly, and on it sat the rune-covered box, humming with a strange energy. His chest tightened, fear and hope colliding. This was the key, the one thing that could break her chains. He reached out, his fingers brushing the surface of the box, but then a sound cut through the silence. A guard's voice, sharp and suspicious. The human froze, his hand on the box, his mind racing. The guard stepped closer, pushing the flap of the tent aside. Their eyes met for a single, burning second. The human acted without thought. He grabbed the box and swung it hard into the guard's face. The alien fell with a crash, blood spilling. Shouts echoed from outside, the camp waking. The human's heart roared in his ears as he ran. He rushed back toward her, the box heavy in his arms. The aliens shouted, alarms blaring, weapons clashing, but nothing could stop him now. He reached her chair, dropping to his knees, the box glowing hotter. "Hold still," he gasped. "This has to work." Her eyes widened, the glow inside them burning stronger. "Break it," she whispered. "Set me free." He slammed the box against the ground, the runes cracking like glass. A flash of light shot out, striking her chains. The iron glowed red, then shattered with a deafening crack. The camp froze, every alien turning toward the sound. The girl gasped, her hands free for the first time in endless nights. Her body shook, the glow spreading from her eyes across her skin. The ground itself seemed to tremble under her awakening. The warriors shouted, fear in their voices. The human grabbed her arm, pulling her close. "Can you move?" he shouted. Her lips curled into a faint smile. "Not walk, but I can fight." Her body glowed brighter, her broken wings flickering with sparks of light. For the first time, she looked less like a prisoner and more like a weapon. The aliens charged, weapons raised. The human swung a stolen blade, cutting through the first attacker. The girl lifted her hands, and a wave of light burst out. It was weak, raw, But powerful enough to throw the aliens back, the camp erupted into chaos, fire and screams filling the air. Side by side, they pushed through the battle. He fought with steel and rage, she with light and fury. Every step was a struggle, but together they carved a path. The gate loomed ahead, broken by the blast of her power. Freedom so close he could taste it, but Henna's shadow blocked their path. The alien leader stepped forward, his massive frame towering over them. His armor glowed, his weapon crackling with dark energy. The warriors fell silent, waiting, watching. The human tightened his grip on the blade, his body aching but unbroken. Beside him, the alien girl's glow grew brighter, her chains gone, her spark alive, her power rising. For the first time, she looked truly alive, and together, they faced the monster that had broken them both. The final battle was about to begin. Cliffhanger. The human raised his blade, the girl raised her glowing hands, and the alien leader smiled, ready to crush them. The great escape was not finished, it had only just begun. The alien camp burned in chaos, flames rose high into the night sky, and screams echoed across the wasteland. But in the center of the fire stood the alien leader, his massive body glowing with dark energy. His eyes burned red, his armor sharp like jagged stone, his weapon a spear of lightning. Every warrior stepped back, giving space, for none dared to stand near him. The human tightened his grip on the stolen blade, his body shaking with exhaustion. He had no armor, no shield, only his will to fight. Beside him, the alien girl glowed brighter than ever, the light crawling across her skin like living fire. Her broken wings shimmered faintly, their sparks returning. Together, they faced the monster who had broken them both. The leader laughed, a deep cruel sound. You think you can escape me, eh? Broken girl and a weak human, pathetic. He raised his spear, the ground cracking under its power, but the human stepped forward, his voice steady. She is not broken, and I am not weak. The leader roared, charging with speed. The human barely lifted his blade in time, the clash shaking his bones. The spear's energy burned across his arm, but he did not fall. He pushed back with every ounce of strength, his teeth clenched. Behind him, the girl raised her hands, her light forming into a shield that blocked the next strike. Her voice rang out, strong for the first time, you will not take him, you will not chain me again. Her glow burst brighter, the force of it throwing dust and fire into the air. The leader staggered for a moment, surprised, but then he smiled, hungry for the fight. The human moved fast, striking low, his blade cut across the leader's armor, sparks flying. It was not enough to kill, but enough to wound. The alien roared, striking back with his spear. The human was thrown across the sand, his body hitting the ground hard. He groaned, blood on his lips, but he rose again. His legs trembled, his arms heavy, but he refused to stay down. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes wide with fear. He met her gaze, whispering through pain, do not stop, you are stronger than him. Her heart raced, her breath sharp. She felt power deep inside, power she thought was gone forever. Her broken wings flickered, sparks turning into streams of light. She screamed, not in pain but in defiance, and the chains of her past shattered completely. Wings of light burst from her back, not perfect, not whole, but alive. The glow covered her entire body, a storm of energy rising. The warriors cried out in fear, shielding their eyes. Even the leader hesitated, his cruel smile fading. The girl stepped forward, no longer weak, no longer silent. The human pushed himself up, standing at her side. He raised his blade again, his voice rough but steady. Together, he whispered. She nodded, her wings spreading wide, her light and his steel became one in that moment. The leader roared, charging again, but this time, the girl met him head-on, her light crashing against his darkness. The ground shook, the fire roared higher. The human struck low once more, driving his blade into the leader's side. The girl unleashed a wave of pure light, burning through his armor. The alien leader screamed, his weapon and shattering in his hands. His body cracked with fire and smoke, and with one final strike, the girl's wings of light pierced through him. He fell to the ground, the earth trembling as his lifeless body hit the sand. The camp fell silent, the warlord defeated. The warriors who remained stared in fear. None dared to move, none dared to fight. They bowed their heads, stepping back into the shadows. The human dropped his blade, his body shaking. The girl fell to her knees beside him, her light dimming but still alive. He touched her hand, his voice weak. You are free now, he whispered. She looked at him, tears glowing in her alien eyes. "No," she said softly, "we are free," and for the first time, she smiled, but freedom was not peace. The camp burned, but the desert beyond was vast and full of danger. The stars above held unknown worlds, unknown enemies, unknown paths. They were not safe, not yet, but together, they had a chance. The human pulled her close, helping her stand. Her broken wings flickered. Behind her, glowing against the night, the firelight danced on their faces, two survivors bound by choice. She had been given to him as entertainment, nothing more, but instead, he had risked his life to heal her. Final cliffhanger. As they walked out of the camp into the endless desert, the girl looked at the stars, her voice steady. "They will hunt us now, all of them." The human smiled faintly, gripping her hand tighter. "Then let them come."